and welcome back to the program. You're the proverbial fly on the wall during this Skype visit with Meria, the mouth that roars. You can check out her podcasts at meria.net. So here is Meria. Enjoy. I have this thing, and it's kind of paradoxical as well. I'll just say it as it is. I have absolutely no faith in mankind, but I have faith in myself.
Well, I'm sure there are people you know that you have faith in.
I don't know, because you can rationalize just about anything into being just about anything. Just as an example, now, I've sat in a room with this guy. I've done a Chenrezig meditation with His Holiness. For me, he's one of the most spiritual people around right now. But, on the other hand, I look at that and go, dang, that's a prison. I wouldn't want that, because my thinking is, I want to be free. I don't want to be having to come back as this being over and over. That's not freedom to me. That's a prison. And it's just a different kind of prison, but it's still a prison. And on the other hand, I'm thinking, anybody, now I've seen how he worked, and he's got like 12 or 13 or 14 different disciples that come out and they raise the energy for him to direct. And I'm thinking, geez, anybody that's awake could do that. If you have all that surrounding help to help you be that trigger point, anybody could do that. So that's why, you can make things kind of go either way.
Well, I don't have any positive feelings about the Dalai Lama. I think he's part of the whole One World Order sideshow. So, I don't want to knock him if he's one of your favorite teachers. I don't trust him at all. When you have to have all this hoopla and bullshit to convince people that you're some high holy man, like the Pope, the Dalai Lama, or so many other people out there that profess to be whatever. I have always known, and if people wanted to believe the myths of their Bible, even Jesus said, what I do, everyone can do. Was no magic. He said, you want to find me, you want to find God, look at it, look at a twig, look at a leaf on a tree.
Yeah.
He never asked for churches, religions, and all this other stuff. Religion has always been put in place. Even, if you're a follower of Dalai Lama or Buddha or whatever, it's always been put in place as a control mechanism. No one has to tell any awake, living, breathing soul that there is some form of creator energy out there. We're all naturally born with the desire to worship something greater than ourselves.
Yeah, one of my biggest things, and I get flack on this all the time for saying this, I'm not one that believes in evil, but if there is evil, the only thing I can think of as being evil is religion.
Well, religion, politics, nationalism, labeling each other, racism, prejudice, there's so many things.
Those are all things that separate.
Exactly, and that's why they exist, divide and conquer.
Yeah. Do you lucid dream at all?
All the time.
Yeah, me too.
All the time.
Okay, get this. I've had, out of my experiences with lucid dreaming, which are, I won't say vast, but I would count them as at least 50 to 100. I don't keep track. But I've only had one that was like this. And now, one of my favorite things of anything to do is flying. I love to fly in my lucid dreams. That's how I like to start it off. I've been using different techniques because sometimes you get so excited when you actually wake up in your dream. It's like, oh my God, and you wake yourself up. So what I do is I do one of two things. I either spin, but this one just came to me like last week. What I do now is, in the back of my head, I have it that I'm going to fall backwards. And it's that motion of falling backwards. It keeps me centered, and so I don't get so excited. And then I fly. But get this. This happened a number of years ago. Now, I had a guest on the program a number of times, Dr. Albert Taylor, who's awesome. He put out this book called Soul Traveler about lucid dreaming, his techniques and experiences with it. Little tiny book, but awesome book. The night I finished reading it, this is how I know it works. I had another lucid dream, so his book does work. I can actually personally say his book works. I was a lucid dreamer before, but his book does work. So the night I finished, I went off. But get this. So I'm going off in my lucid dream. I'm flying, and I thought, I'm going to go see if Albert's around. So I'm flying over the Midwest of the States, and I'm flying at a pretty good clip, at about a little above tree level. And I come across this field. And in this field are these, what appear to be, copper poles and a gridwork. And as I'm flying over this gridwork of copper poles, it immediately pulls me down to the ground. I mean, gravity just, boom, sucks me right down. And I see this dude walking towards me with this cowboy hat. I'd recognize him today if I saw him. And my instant thought was, I can't let this guy see my face, and instantly woke myself up. Have you ever come across anything like that?
I'm not a cowboy who I don't want to show my face to, but a lot of bizarre things, which of course I think about Castaneda's last book on dreams, The Art of Dreaming, when he talks about the inorganic beings and things like that, because I have been to those places. I have seen those kind of creatures. And, where I tell people, if you want to go out of body, understand this, not every planet is hospitable, and not every form of life on other planets is friendly. There's no law that says Earth is the worst place there is in the universe.
True enough.
I tell them, go watch that old movie Stargate if you don't believe me.
I've had some pretty interesting experiences. I ask a lot of my guests that are somewhat awake this question. No one's ever clarified this for me. Have you ever heard of a creature? Maybe I should tell you the dream first. There's that difference between regular dreams and teaching dreams. So this is one of those teaching dreams when a guide came to me, and he still is to this day. And other people have seen him, which is really interesting. I'm in this abandoned house, and the only thing that's in this abandoned house is a dresser that you put your clothes in. And I am dressed in clothing and have running shoes on. And I'm standing in this abandoned house, and I see a mouse go by. And I take off my shoe, and I'm trying to bash the mouse. Now, I understand this because at that time, I had a cat, and I used to hunt with my cat. It was really cool. So anyway, so this mouse goes by, and I'm trying to bash it with my shoe, and it runs under the dresser. And I'm, underneath trying to bat, because I can't see, it's dark, and I'm trying to bat just with the shoe. And I sit down cross-legged in front of the dresser, and I think to myself, I'll just wait. And when he comes out, I'll smack him. So the little mouse comes out, but as he's coming out from underneath the dresser, he starts to morph. And he gets to be about the size of a cat, but he becomes, the only thing I could call him was a lizard mouse. Half lizard and half mouse. And as he's morphing into the shape, I think to myself, geez, if this creature can do this, maybe instead of trying to kill it, I should try to make friends with it. And so I did. And ever since then, that lizard mouse has been a companion of mine. And so my question is, have you ever heard of a lizard mouse?
I have not heard of a lizard mouse. Listening to you, I do a lot of dream interpretation, and I dream for other people.
Right. My
question when you were describing this is, what does a mouse represent to you?
To me, a mouse is one of the greatest teachers of all.
How so?
Well, he's like the squirrel. He sees everything in great, minute detail. And he's very smart, very adaptive, and is close to our mother, if one wants to look at it in those terms. He's got his belly scraping Mother Earth. He's very close. He's like a snake. In my eyes, snakes are one of the greatest teachers. They burrow within Mother Earth. They're right there. They tell the stories of Mother Earth. And so, to me, a mouse is one of the biggest teachers.
Right. So a mouse for you is a very pleasant experience.
Oh,
what about
sure.
lizard?
Yeah, again, for me, the lizards are the dreamers. Especially when you can get those little, I don't know the actual names, but a friend of mine had one, and they have that little diamond right on their forehead. To me, that tells me that this is a creature that, and I've said this before to people, if you're having trouble with dreams, have a lizard in the same room that you're in, and you will not only dream tons of dreams, but you will also remember those dreams. So again, I got great things.
Well, looking at that dream for you, a house usually represents your body, your physical body. The fact that your house is empty, except for this dresser, which symbolizes your wardrobe, and this little mouse that turns into a mouse lizard, I would say that the dream is representing who you are. It's all about you. Who are you? What's the robe that you're wearing in this lifetime? Because it's not who your soul is. So you could be a cross between a reptilian and a mouse, or some race that is somehow connected or looks somewhat like a mouse. You could be a hybrid of both. And the dresser saying, but this is how you're dressing yourself in this lifetime, because you said you were dressed in the dream.
Yeah, because I took
my
shoe
off. So I think that
yeah.
it's actually one of your pals from whence you come, that's hanging with you, and it was an identity dream.
That's
it was telling you who you are. And you know that I do a show with David Icke, monthly, and we're good friends. And, I have to tell people, although David takes on the reptilians, not all reptilians are bad.
For sure, yep.
That would be the same as saying, all Mexicans are bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Or women are bad. So I think for you, it really is a very telling dream as an identity. Who are you? I mean, on a native way, you could look at it as the mouse and the lizard being your totem animals.
Well, the lizard mouse, he is...
All right, and I have seen other beings, some that are half lion, half human, some that look like bees. They're kind of like half bees and half human. Some of them identify themselves to me. Some of them will tell me what planet they come from. Most of the time, it's stuff we could never pronounce in the human form.
Right.
So I do know that there are multitudes of different types of beings out there, just as there are many, many planets inhabited with some form of human or other.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
The majority of people on this planet are not from this planet. A lot of them, it's like I said, it's their first time ever on planet Earth. And that's the other thing that I take offense at. All these people that so readily believe all these channels, all these people that are channeling, all these beings from God knows where.
Yeah.
And the first thing I'll always ask them when they're taking the advice of these beings is, did they ever have a human experience?
Yeah, how could they know about the human experience?
Exactly, because if they never had a human experience, their advice means diddly squat to us. It's like people, say, well, I asked the universe for money, and I'm like, did you put an amount on it and describe the money? Because outside of this planet, nobody uses money. So you have to be practical when you're dealing with spirit or beseeching the universe. And a lot of times, it saddens me that people will so willingly believe anybody that claims to be, from another planet or out in the ethers or whatever, when they won't believe the great teachers they have walking amongst them.
Yeah, I've had a number of channelers on, but I have a difference of, I think, and I'll just say it the way I say it to others, and I might have to bleep this out, but a lot of it, I just think people are mind f***ing themselves.
Absolutely, and it's another form of control.
Yeah.
Just because something is in spirit doesn't mean A, it comes with good intention, B, it's any smarter in spirit than it was when it was human. Sunbear used to say, remember, if Uncle Fred was an idiot when he was alive, he's still an idiot in spirit. And that was another thing I liked about him, and I've taken and learned so much from him. He had a great sense of humor. He was a realist. He had his feet firmly on the ground. And he knew every single thing that was going on the planet. That was the part that I didn't think I could step up to. And then when the radio started developing, one day, it took maybe 6-7 years, I realized that, wow, I totally emulate my teacher now. And he had said, students always seem to take on the gifts of their teachers. And at that time, I thought, well, that just sounds like a nice little wish. But, if you're alive and you're breathing and you're staying active and learning, you can achieve multiple things. Usually when I go on somebody's show and they read the bio just off my website, I listen and I say, oh my God, did I do all that? I don't even think about it. I do what I do as long as it's fun. When it starts feeling like work, that's when I find something else to do.
Yeah.